Hello everyone, my name is Madeline Peck and I've created a baby mobile to represent 6 very famous inventors as well as myself and some characteristics of each of them and what I have in common with some of these. So first I want to describe why I came up with the baby mobile. Now I was really struggling to figure out what to do for this project until I was holding my friend's newborn baby. And I thought that moment is such a sweet moment of seeing an infant and reflecting upon how that moment is when we really start forming our ideas and taking in the world to start creating our own thoughts and imagination. So that is the form of the baby mobile. Also, as you can see, this object here represents myself, and the ones around the circle surrounding are the 6 innovators. Now mine is white, and all of the others are color, and so that kind of represents how we start off very innocent, and possibly the colors around us help to shape and to form who we become. So our brain becomes wired based on our own personal beliefs, but also having to do with the surroundings and our atmosphere and environment that might also influence the way that we think. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to describe some of these different objects that just symbolize characteristics of each of these innovators. So first, starting with this red one in the front, we have Rainer Maria Rilke. He has a bell. This really symbolizes his illness. Whenever he was young, he started off really battling some strong illnesses, and that carried on through his life. But illnesses continuously cause noise and distraction, making one possibly stand out in life. He began his education in a military boarding school, but had to withdraw due to medical complications, and that struggle continued out through the remainder of his life. Next, he has a pacifier. That symbolizes his innocence. He tends to focus on the innocence of life before societal influences or medical influences may impact what our mind can imagine. So he likes to go to a blank slate before he begins a new piece of work artistically. He has a heart, and that symbolizes romanticism that he likes to focus on. He met a woman named Lou Andreas Salome when he was visiting Venice, Italy, and he spent the summer with her and her husband, and that really sparked an idea of lots of his romanticism used in his work. We also have a butterfly here, and this symbolizes the transformation that allowed him to pursue his passion. He originally studied at Prague's Charles Ferdinand University in psychology, but he left that program to study art, where he found his true love for poetry, so that really helped him transform. He took that chance. Next we have the orange, which is William Butler Yeats, and he as well has a butterfly symbolizing the fact that he abandoned his law practice, which was such a comfortable area to study, but really he wanted to follow his passion for art. Now the paintbrush, this symbolizes the fact that he did attend an art school, which was more of a straight path into the industry that he wanted to go into. We also have a feather, and this represents his calm personality. He was very calmly attempting to quiet his mind, thus making his raw thoughts be heard louder. And lastly, we have a pacifier for him as well. He really loved innocence, and he tried to realize that there are many distractions in the world, and if one can simply slip out of the worldly minds, then they could access the more raw thoughts of their brain. I'll spin it around. And next we have Marion Milner, and she has a bronze kind of pyramid structure here in this bead. That represents her very analytical mind that she had. She grew up in an analytical home life, and that carried on through her lifetime. Next we have a mirrored object here, and that really symbolizes her self-reflection that she felt is very important in life and in her work. The rhinestones, there's one that is very dark, but then the opposite side is very light and bright. This reveals the way that she had her father in her home life that loved poetry very much, but then also her mother, whom was very depressed during her childhood, and that carried on to Milner's life. She was very concealed in the way that she showed her work, so she would expose her feelings, but with the theme of being afraid to open up and take chances. Lastly, she has an eye, and this shows that she likes to focus on how the world, the external factors of the world, can impact what she sees and how the world changes her thoughts and might impact those ideas that she has. Next, going on to green, we have Irving Oil, and he has an eye as well. He likes to focus on the world and the exterior factors. So he traveled to an island and he found lots of intriguing ideas there. So he liked to embrace the characteristics of that world, that new world to him, but it was an ancient way of living. That is also represented in these beads. They have ancient symbols on them, and that represents the way that he really took in a different way of living and a better understanding of different cultures. And even though they may be older or even new, he likes to experiment with different cultures and look into those definitely deeply. He also has a plane, and this symbolizes his adventurous personality. He literally landed a plane into a field, which then took him to the island in Chihuahua, Mexico, where he began exploring his new life there in that ancient civilization. And he has a wire circle, which symbolizes his love for simplicity. He liked to focus on simplicity and not get wrapped up in what may be popular or may seem to be the only way of doing things. He liked to look at simplicity and see the real value of that. Now rotating on, we have Frank Zappa or next to last. So he has a bell, which again was similar to one of our previous inventors. He also struggled with illness, and this came from his dad working in the defense industry, so he grew up around lots of mustard gas, and this caused an illness in his child, which then sparked strong feelings against drug use, actually, although he was a musician in the 1960s. So that carried on to his artistic career there. He also has a gift basket. This symbolizes how he gave himself a gift of knowledge. So he did not go to a university and study or get any types of formal training. He taught himself everything in his music career. He has red and blue stars, and this symbolizes how his music reflected political issues, sometimes in a humorous way, but he liked to express his beliefs and his opinions through his music. Lastly, he has a castle, and this is speaking to the amount of value he placed on his home life. He had a family, he was married with 4 kids, and that really had an influence on how he drove his career and his creativity. Lastly is Matt Callahan in the purple form. Matt has a leaf, or a few leaves here. They're autumn leaves. So he was very steadfast, and his dad did not support him. He was turned down by a few producers in his music career, but just as autumn leaves do, they may die out in one season, but they live again. They find life in themselves, take some time, but do revive themselves and in a better form. So Matt was very, very known to do this. He also has a gift, meaning that he was self-taught. He did not have any formal training, but he did all of that on his own and taught himself everything as he worked his way through his career. He has red and blue stars again. This reflects his musical reflections of political stances that he felt really strongly about. And lastly, he has a snowflake. He has a very unique passion, and he was very known for that. He knew that if he bonded with other people, they could join their unique passions and make something greater happen. They liked to stand up for what he believed in because he knew that it was possible to make a change. Now, lastly for myself, within all of these comes this white structure here. There's a pyramid, like one of our previous creators, a few of them, I have a very analytical mind, and although I'm creative, I do like to analyze what could possibly create things to happen or behaviors around me. So I am analytical and have the structure for that with the sharp edges. I have autumn leaves, just like one of our creators before, and I feel that I am able to take a situation that I might not have succeeded in and learn from that to then grow and continue on further to make myself better. And I try not to get down, but I try to instead really focus on what I could gain from that and let that be lost in my past season, but then create a new season of life and learning from my past. I am also represented by this philanthropic ribbon. This is my Zeta Tau Alpha sorority Think Pink ribbon. I love philanthropy. I love involvement in community. And I like to focus on combining my money, time, and physical effort into something that could be greater than myself and supporting others that may be in need. I also have some lace here, and this symbolizes that I'm delicate and poised, but yet I'm strong-willed, definitely. So, again, I have some similarities, some differences from all of these people, these creators that were great, and it's really interesting to think about when we're born as an infant. What is to say that any of us couldn't become one of these great inventors? We're all wired with the same mental capacity, really, in the beginning, and it's a wonder as to if it's our things around us that make us who we are, or if that comes from inside. So this is my interpretation of the 6 creators I studied and myself and how we are related. Thanks.